Welcome back, YouTube. Welcome to this week's live. So today's purpose, I'm going to cover a few points that I heard of today, and just kind of like some general like housekeeping stuff that we're kind of just getting additional evidence on that our thoughts were correct. And then of course I'll do some Q&A, chat with you guys, and kind of get a feel for where everyone's head's at. So I'm going to start with some of the notes that came from the Fed. So we saw that Jerome Powell today pretty much just some notes coming out of the Fed department, pretty much stating that we can expect a few negative quarters, right? So like a couple of negative quarters, which is roughly about 6 months, but they never really know. But this is kind of confirming what we all thought when we said that in the evidence or the macros were aligning for a recession, right? So we're getting confirmation. They're finally coming around to admit that they're still kind of like kicking their whole, the economy is strong, consumer demand, blah, blah, blah. But we know that the evidence is kind of supporting that we're going to have a very strong tightening of the economy, which obviously is going to roll over into stocks, crypto, real estate, and stuff like that. They also said that they're not going to be able to really help with like supply chain issues, but they can help with consumer demand, aka you basically force a recession to kind of get people to kind of back off of the supply chain issues, get inflation under control by raising it and cutting back demand a lot, absorbing that excess cash, and then you kind of do like a reset. Basically, that's why you see a lot of the catalysts, a lot of headlines stating reset. So now we're kind of getting the Fed, I'll say they're starting to tell the truth, right? Kind of what we saw in January and stuff like that. They're starting to try and come around and tell the truth, right? So that's great. We see that transitioning over to crypto, we see that Binance is pretty much offering, if I read correctly, is that they're pretty much doing fee-free trading with things like Bitcoin and stuff like that. And this is something that we talked about on the channel a few weeks ago and a couple of months ago, when we stated that once we start to remove our coins from the exchanges, we're going to see incentives for you to keep your coins on the exchanges. These incentives are going to get really, really good, and almost to the point where it's like irresistible for you to keep your coins on the exchanges. And that's why I have the article on the screen here as literally an example of what they're doing with your coins, which is what we're going to get to in a moment. But what we're seeing here is pretty much them beefing up. We're going to see an increase in as far as like staking rewards, fee-free, just pretty much any gimmick they can and I'm not picking on Binance or anything, because this is going to be across the board. Anything they can to get people to keep their coins on the exchange. They desperately need your coins on the exchange. This is especially now in a period of recession, like if we're going to a recession and we experience something that's like low volume across the board, right? Low volume as in no one's taking out loans. Low volume as in the very few people are investing. They fear. They don't know where the bottom is. They're waiting on better entries and stuff like that. That's going to be low volume for a lot of these exchanges. Low volume means that they're not making money. Those little shavings that they do, those little micro numbers that you may not even notice when you're buying and selling your crypto, buying and selling your stock, that means that profit is going to go down dramatically. So they make money, as we know, from lending, shorting, pretty much betting against these current positions. That's another stream of income for them. So when you go into a position where it's like low volume and now they're not really making a lot of money, this is their bread and butter. This is kind of what they're going to fall back on and say, okay, well, this is what we're going to do to kind of get us through these hard times. And it's not a secret. This is literally how the nature of the game is played, the stock market and stuff like that. They tell us invest, diversify for the long term, 30 years plus, and they short the hell out of everything in between, make 10 times X and pay you your compound and your pennies and stuff like that. You're 10% per year and tell you that you did good, and they're doing 10% a week, by going negative against you, and just attacking different positions. So this is evidence of what we're seeing here, as far as for them desperately trying to attract and keep your coins. And I want to take a look here at the article that you're going to see from Voyager. Now remember, Voyager just last week, Voyager borrowed $400 million, almost a $500 million from FTX. But this is pretty much stating, similar to what we've all kind of known along, that they pretty much were lending customer deposits to a hedge fund. And it says the lending accounted for over 52% of its loan book, exposing depositors to massive risk. Let's see, by the crypto native yield. Okay, so this is even better. So this is kind of like when you have these situations where these companies don't tell you where these yields coming from, or their staking rewards. And like, hey, we're going to pay you, 30% staking. And most people are like, okay, whatever, I'm going to, just kind of get my 30% paid to me in Bitcoin, all as well. Some people are saying, okay, how in the hell are you paying me 30%? And this is kind of like going to, because we're going to see more of this going forward, but this is kind of going to blow a hole in a lot of the BS that's going on here. And the fact that they're literally shorting and lending your coins is because you're going to see that the majority of the revenue comes from positions like this. This is how they're kind of able to pay you, or at least attract people to in these positions here, claiming these outrageous yields. Now, you may ask, okay, well, isn't that counterintuitive? If you're going to pay me 30% for a coin and you're shorting it, isn't that counterintuitive? Well, not really, because if you're creating wraparound tokens, or if you're shorting against the coin with, an obscene amount of money, the actual value of the coin doesn't really matter at all, because you're in complete control. So they can give you 30%. You can say, oh my God, I'm making 30% of the coin, but the actual price of the coin is completely under control by the hedge fund. So you can get 30% of more of I won't say like a worthless coin, because it just depends on what you're taking value in, but they have the ability to control the actual price of the coin. So they don't mind paying you 30% when they control the actual narrative, the price of the coin, and they're making 10x at least off of creating these spreads. Pump it, let it go, sell from underneath the consumers, take profit there, short it back down again, jump back into the market, create the pump, create the hype, write these articles, everybody jumps back in, sell from underneath them, short it back down again. It's just rinse and repeat. It's I won't say like an endless supply of money, but it's just one of the biggest scams I've ever seen. And this is not abnormal. I believe several other companies are doing this. And I think that a lot of the companies that we saw thrive and blow up in the bull market, a lot of them aren't going to make it through a recession or a bear market. And I think this is going to be very telling for going forward. So I'm really excited, because I think this is going to kind of weed out a lot of the BS that's in crypto. And I think that as long as we stay true to our roots and make sure that we are taking our coins off of the exchanges and not letting them hype us and draw us into their little web of BS, I think that we're going to all be fine. And by the way, I do have a link for the ledger in my description section directly through the company. So if you were looking for a cold storage or something like that, it's one of my recommendations. And I also have a video of my other 5 recommendations. But it is very important that you remove your coins, not only for price, but also for the future of crypto. Because if we continuously use them as pretty much a bank for our coins, we're going to create like a little stock market junior. So we have to be careful with that. So I'm going to take some questions here. So if you have any questions, thoughts, and stuff like that, put it in the chat. And I'm going to scroll through, take some questions, and then we will go from there. Let's see. Question. I have my crypto on Robinhood. If they go bankrupt, would I lose it all, or would they be obligated to transfer it to another platform? I don't want to sell it right now at a big loss. Great question. So it depends on the platform, but I will say like 99% of the time, in the event that they go bankrupt, you are entitled to absolutely nothing. These are not the FDIC insured stuff like that, where you're guaranteed at least a portion. Because think about it, even if you have a large amount in the bank, you're not guaranteed to get all of your money, right? So, but if you read the terms of service and stuff like that of a lot of these exchanges, you're more than likely you're going to get nothing. You're going to be at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes down to the actual debt, because they're going to write it off as debt, saying that, okay, well, yes, we were holding these coins, but we have higher priority debt, right? So it's just like when a company goes broke on the stock market, and they have like their loans and stuff like that, what they owe banks, private money, preferred shares, all that kind of stuff like that. All those people get paid first, right? The common shareholders or whatever, they get paid last. And that's kind of where we would fall with these brokerages. We would be kind of like on the common side, right? So we were the last on the totem pole. So if depending on how much money they have or the debt and stuff like that, that determines if there's anything left over. But even if that was the case, there's no guarantee that you would get like your full amount. I have to look at them all individually, but I'm just speaking from a vague point of view. The majority of the time, you're screwed. So that's one of the reasons. If you're not trading, it doesn't make sense for you to hold them on any platform. It literally just doesn't make sense. It's a risk, and especially we've seen a lot of these platforms. We've seen them turn off. We're getting clues kind of like into the future here, like especially with companies like Robinhood and stuff like that, when they remove buy buttons, and we see a lot of these companies, Celsius, Binance, all that kind of stuff like that. We see them stop people from withdrawing their coins and stuff like that. We're getting clues, like it's not even like I want to say warnings, right? Almost. So like take heed to that and position yourself, because you don't want to be in a position where the company that's holding your crypto gets to tell you when you can and when you can't, withdraw money and withdraw your crypto and stuff like that. Otherwise, it's no longer decentralized. It's literally centralized now. So defeats the purpose, really. So I don't say sell it to get it off. I'm not sure where you are, but if you're able to have a wallet and transfer it out, even if you're going to lose some coins, like the transfer and stuff like that, that's fine. But in my opinion, it's fine. I'll say that. But I do believe having control over your coins is better than a company potentially telling you when you can and when you can't. I hope that helps you. Let's see. So I was going to do another question here. See, Robinhood is trying to pay people to move their crypto onto their platform. I believe it. No, we're going to see, especially now as the movement gets popular and people are removing their coins from exchanges and stuff like that. You're going to see all types of stuff. Move your coins over here, giveaways. You're going to win free Bitcoin, get an iPad, free Tesla, all kinds of stuff like that. They're going to do whatever they can, because it is way more beneficial for them to be your wallet than for you to kind of like one and done them. Because if you buy your coins from them and then transfer them off, then they're kind of screwed. They're going to have to make their money kind of like being the middleman, which is really what they are. So there has to be kind of like this back and forth, or this exchange. That's literally what they're doing. They're exchanging. They have to make money on these exchanges, like whether that's to you or to the person who wants to short against you. But that's how they make their money. So once if that exchange slows down or stops, they're screwed. So they're going to have to kind of bait you, back onto the platform. And they have many ways to do that. Get your wallets from the company, not third party. Absolutely. Absolutely. I said, do you see Doge dipping further? If so, how much? I believe we're closer to the end of the cycle for Doge than something like a Bitcoin. So when we hit 4, that we got to bounce up relatively good. I expected that based off of the pools of liquidity. As far as for like reports stating that Doge is going to go below like a penny and stuff like that, that would be difficult. I think that the only way that happened is if we had a massive spike in inflation, to the point where the prices or like the cost of living was kind of like superseding the ability of like the retailers to hold or pretty much meet their immediate demands, right? So I think that would cause like for massive like inflation hike, and something like that we would see coming. But as of right now, I think that even if we got the opportunity, especially for me, if I got the opportunity to buy Doge, even at like something like a penny or 1 penny, like the amount that I would buy, and I'm sure a lot of other people are there with me, we would see something spike back up like dramatically, probably to the levels that we are now at least. So I as of right now, until we get like some worse macros and stuff like that, I would be very shocked if we dip lower. So, but that's going to be something that's kind of going to be ongoing that we're going to have to watch, because we're going to be dealing with this inflation and these macros here for a few months at least. So that's something that's going to be ongoing that we're going to have to keep an eye on. Let's see, still down pretty big, average around 17, averaging down when I can, and will hold for several years. We can expect a return to, when can we expect a return to 20? Will it take macros resolving first? For the most part, because right now we're the consolidation of the market, or even the bull market in the stock market, completely normal, right? The average bull market typically lasts about 3.8 years, roughly around 4 years, right? So, having these cool offs period, they're healthy. And this gives opportunity for people like us to, kind of literally, stake your positions, place your bets basically on picking all the coins, the stocks and stuff like that you're bullish on. And we get to see how right we are over the course of the next 4 years. So I will say that I do believe that Doge is lower than what it should be. I believe it's artificially suppressed based off of just the price action that I'm seeing. But as far as for 20 cent, I do believe some of the macros, or unless we got a really big catalyst, would have to be in place for that to happen. We, as of right now, the amount of short action we see, even on simple spikes and stuff like that, it's very combative. So we would have to have really just some overwhelming buying pressure, or just some really large whales come in to kind of combat that. A prime example is I tweeted the other day when Elon said he's still going to continue buying continue buying Dogecoin, and Dogecoin spiked 8 cent, and in response we got a 20% increase in shorts, right? So, Dogecoin spiked 8%, and we got a 20% increase in shorts. So we're going to have to kind of keep that in mind here every time we get like those spikes and stuff, and just kind of give us an idea of the pressure we're going to need to reach those levels. But I do believe that we're going to hit those levels, but I just think that with Bitcoin, I believe Bitcoin still has some room to consolidate. So I think that that's also going to kind of be telling. So I think that we're tied into the macros here, at least very well, at least in the short term. Evan, thank you for the super chat. Let's see, same as always. Where do you see Dogecoin going to right now? Where do you think it'll finish off at the end of the year? Great question. I think I answered this like a few seconds ago, but I do believe that as of right now, based off the macros and where we are, I believe that we're relatively close to where our natural consolidation point is, at least considering the amount of price action, unless we got a big change in the macros. As far as for the end of the year, I'm pulling some data because the end of the year is going to be tough. But even if because right now, even the Fed is pretty much admitting that we're going to have a few consecutive quarters of negative price action, right? So they're pretty much, and that's pretty much meaning we're going to have a tightening. So it's pretty much admitting, saying that we're going to have a recession. So as far as for like a lot of those higher numbers, I think that until we get the macro solved, that's going to be an issue. And based off of even what the Fed is telling us and the direction that we're headed, it doesn't look like they don't feel like they're going to be able to do that this year. So the only way we'd be able to hit like a really high number would be something on like a major catalyst, and a bunch of investors kind of came in to capitalize off of that. So, and a lot of people are aiming for the Doge 1. And that's hard to chart something like that or kind of guess consumer demand. So I personally would like to see us, I forget who put the question up there. I personally like to see us like around like the 20 cent mark or higher by the end of the year. But these macros are nasty, and they're not quick fixes. That's one of the reasons why I make sure I speak on them often and am very transparent as far as lining them up. You don't get rid of record high credit card interest rate, a reversal in mortgage rates. It just, these gas prices, you don't get rid of a lot of that stuff quickly. And based off of, even if you look at the video I made yesterday, based off of, the way the whales and a lot of these institutions are acting, they're selling off, but they're holding the cash. So this lets me know that even for them, and as far as for them pushing up, having that injection of institutional money into the economy. They're waiting. So even as of right now, for them, this is saying that for at least in their opinion, they're saying, okay, well, this isn't a great time. So it's hard to do end of the year prediction, but I would honestly like something around like 20 cent. But as of right now, I don't have anything concrete um, to give you like a number besides like throwing something random out there, and I don't like doing that. But I do believe that Doge is artificially suppressed. It's lower than what it should be. But as far as for where it's going to finish the year, it's kind of difficult right now because we still have 6 months and no, we haven't had a curve in inflation or anything. So everything's still kind of up in the air. So I'll need some additional time to kind of compile the numbers and stuff like that. So I'm sorry I couldn't answer the second question, which with certainty, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. Okay, my chat is refreshed. Okay. Remove half of my coins from the hood, but the max is 5K every 24 hours. Yeah, they don't want you to take a run on the exchanges. So same thing brokers do in the stock market. They put limits on your daily withdrawal amount. For them not having it, or for them you pretty much messing up their books, everybody panicking and cleaning them out in one day and stuff like that. They can kind of have an opportunity here to move some numbers around so that they're not defaulting and stuff like that. So yeah, that happens. Is the FTX buying at Robinhood positive? I didn't hear about buying at Robinhood. I heard about them loaning Voyager money. As far as for them buying in Robinhood, they can. I have to look at the balance sheets, but I do know that it's common for there to kind of be, I won't say like alliances, but you'll see, what's the best word? I guess some cross references or some partnerships here in times like this. So it's not abnormal. I hadn't heard of it, but it's certainly not abnormal because you'll see that they're already loaning money out and stuff like that. So they'll start when the books get tight. You'll see a vast amount of companies start working together and buying into each other and lending money and stuff like that. It happens. I have all my Doge on Robinhood. Should remove it. If you're not trading, I would, but that's just my opinion. See, what wallet should I move it to? How to make private wallet suggestions. I like the Ledger. I have a link in my description. You don't have to go through my link, but just make sure that you get it. I do, in my opinion, I make sure it's best that you get it from the actual company versus like a third party. If you read the reviews online, it'll easily tell you why. You'll see that people are getting, faulty devices or devices with malware already on it. So it's a lot of scams and stuff out there. So kind of just make sure you are, just getting it directly from the source, in my opinion, because it can be a headache to lose your coins. And they have videos and stuff like that on how to transfer your coins and upload your passwords and stuff like that. So they're very thorough on that part. Let's see. Who's behind FTX is the question. The CEO is ex-Goldman. First, FTX take stake in Robinhood. Now they bail out BlockFi. Yeah, I mean, when we look at these partnerships in these companies, there's typically a consolidation, right? When you're in a strong financial situation, you're able to expand in a recession or a down market. And it's really no different than what Apple does, what Amazon does, what Microsoft does. They're always super cash heavy. And then when we go into a recession and have a down market, what do? They start buying into companies, making investments, and acquiring competition and stuff like that. It's just a business move. When you're in a strong cash position, these are things you do when in a tightening of a market. So I'm not sure who's behind it, but I know that the practice is certainly common. And speaking of Goldman, I put it on Twitter, but they pretty much said the other day that this is the second highest amount of shorts that they've ever seen in their history. So this is kind of that's also another indicator as far as where people see the market here in the short term. See production, see what auto films. I have 300,000 Doge in Robinhood, but live in New York. Help. Yeah, I think that because I haven't, because I've been working with some friends as far as to try and get like a workaround. I haven't tried anything with the VPN. Maybe that works. I've seen some people say it. I don't know for sure. But as far as for having like a workaround when it comes down to New York, I don't have one just yet. So I'm sorry, it could be more helpful. But yeah, for New York, I don't have a workaround just yet. The limit on Robinhood transfers speaks a lot to why we need to move our coins to a cold wallet. That's a fact. That is a fact. Let's see. You think memorabilia shops, art shops, even sport cards should be better off traded? Should be better off traded with Dogecoin. That could be a good niche for it. But I think that even if we got like something like with the bridge, like the Ethereum bridge, and um, if we were able to kind of bridge off and to something like like NFTs and stuff like that, that would be a great niche as well. But I think as of right now, once we get to the second cycle, because I think right now the biggest issue is going to be the price fluctuations. And I think that when we get to like the second cycle, and if we do have some form of regulations and stuff like that, and we are able to get mass utility, something with like a Elon and a Twitter, I think that will help. And then we'll have different industries and businesses that will be more willing to work with crypto in general. Because I think right now the issue is, even with Bitcoin breaking its 4-year cycle, and all these coins are down 80% plus, all these businesses and industries, they're going to be afraid to accept the coin because they're going to be like, hey, look what happened. So we don't want a situation where they're not actually holding the coin and removing them from the market, or they're just accepting it and then selling it back onto the market. That's utility, but it's kind of not what we're looking for. So I think on the second cycle here, we're going to have a lot more answers. But any utility for Dogecoin, I will say, is positive. I just think we're going to have to work on a few things in the meantime. Gemini is only allowing 2,500 coins with each withdrawal, and then make us wait 7 days between each withdrawal. Yep, that sounds about right. AKA, we don't have your coins. AKA, we need time to get them. That sounds about right. So you don't see it max is 5K a day. Yep. Yep, they put those limits are there for a reason. It is not your benefit. Cheers, David. I'm out, but I'll catch the rest of the video later. Thank you for tuning in. Is Robinhood going bankrupt or something? I don't think Robinhood will go bankrupt, but I think that I think that they're just kind of being more careful because of what happened, because they can't afford to have any more. I say what happened with like a GameStop situation, even with Dogecoin, because they kind of they've unplugged from Dogecoin during those runs as well. They'll go into those emergency maintenance and stuff like that. So I think that because of how they've done business in the past, they're kind of just being more proactive. So I think that that's kind of what we can expect from them going forward, because they don't want to, they can't afford like another scandal to remove a buy button or stop withdrawals and stuff like that. I don't think that they're in a position to kind of reopen that wound here again. So, when it comes down to raising additional capital and stuff like that, I think they're kind of going to be more on the proactive side versus the reactive. But I think that Robinhood is I've even done polls on my channel. Because of the simplicity of Robinhood, a lot of people are still going to stay with them. So as long as they don't screw people again and stuff like that, I think that Robinhood has the potential to be just fine. Let's see. Is it still possible to not look in my price until next year and avoid a scare or a fall and see great returns by next year? Yeah, I don't think next year is out of the question. It just really just depends. I think that the biggest thing that we have now, especially with the Fed, is that they're missing the mark with inflation. They're literally always behind the ball on inflation. They've always been too aggressive, too late, and inflation has already outpaced that number. So, and I know that they keep talking about recession and stuff like that, trying to kind of price it into the market already. But as long as these CPI numbers, as long as they're wrong every month about these CPI numbers, they're just going to create new fear, and they're going to have to try and price that into the market again. So um, it's possible, but the Fed's going to have to get its act together relatively quickly. So what are my thoughts on KuCoin? I haven't looked at it. I've heard of it, but I haven't looked at it yet to kind of give you like a yay or a nay or any direction on it. So I have to kind of look into it thoroughly before I could give you an honest opinion. I said, David, do you now think that Dogecoin should make it mandatory to stay into the coin for 6 months unless it is used as its purpose, which is transactions? Um, because I remember having, I think, yeah, I definitely remember talking to you before. I still just don't think it aligns with the purpose of the coin and it being as fluid as it should, as far as for just giving you the options to get rid of it whenever you want. I understand that those holding periods can help with like stability and stuff, but I just don't think that it's going to align, let alone happen based off of like the devs and stuff like that. But I understand where you're coming from. I just don't think that as far as for the actual purpose of the coin, I just don't think that I don't think it's a good fit. How you buy your Doge? Number of places. The majority of my Doge, even till this day right now, was purchased on Robinhood somewhere between like 2 and like 5 cents. And obviously I got my wallet earlier this year, so I was able to remove them. But the majority of them was purchased on Doge. I purchased Doge, let's say between there and like Coinbase. I've been maybe a little on Binance, but I haven't used Binance since like last year. And I thank God why, because a lot of the BS that's coming out. But for the most part, at least my overall portfolio has certainly been, the majority of my Doge has certainly been purchased through Robinhood. If Elon supports Doge, so do I. Follow the money. There we go. Let's see. Why are you doing this for us? It's really cool of you. No, thank you. No, this is stuff that I would do regardless of whether or not I had a YouTube channel. So this is even the research and stuff that I put out. This is stuff that I would do technically for myself. So I'm just sharing my findings with you guys because you guys care to listen. Let's see. Getting the majority of your Doge off Robinhood. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I feel like government will make crypto an executive order issue and use heavy propaganda against it to scare the retailers. Yeah, it's more than it's coming. I know they're going to have a Fed coin. We'll probably see a spike coming when they have a Fed coin. But I think when they finish with the Fed coin, but I think that even now with these price corrections and as people who, you can see people are suing Elon and blaming him for, them going all in and stuff like that. As we see these cases and stuff grow, I think that we're going to see people kind of use it to, I mean, not people, but the government kind of use it to say, hey, look, this is why you need us in here. You need more government to make sure this doesn't happen, quote unquote, stuff like that. So, but I do think we're going to see an overreach, but it's really just kind of up to us to make sure that we are making sure that cryptocurrency serves its purpose and it's not just going to come another tool to extract wealth from the common people. David, were you able to move your Doge from Robinhood to a cold storage wallet? Yes. No, yeah, I got my wallet. I started moving stuff and moving my coins around as soon as I got my wallet from Robinhood earlier this year. Thanks for all your info, David. Wallet is now set up. Just need my Ledger wallet. There you go. Hey, man, I'm glad you're making progress. That's the way to go. What are your thoughts on Shiba? You think they'll moon? because even when I did TA on Shiba, like I'll say like 6 months ago, I was saying that it looks like it's going to do a full retrace. They can certainly get some spikes. The community is large enough, but I'm not sure about like mooning. But there's enough people to kind of like push it up dramatically. So, but Shiba, as far as for me, it's not a long-term position I hold. I know that we're working on some stuff, and again, I could very well be wrong, but for me, it's not a long-term position for me. Let's see. What are your thoughts on the digital dollar versus Doge? You think it will still be okay to hold? Um, I think that even when it comes down to like digital dollar, Fed coin, stuff like that, they're going to they're going to have like incentives to kind of use that versus any other cryptocurrency. And we see that there's no major area that is used for money that the government doesn't play a part in. Or at least has I'll say at least competes in, right? Even gold and silver. You have your blanks, you have your bullion, your rounds, and then you also have gold eagles and silver eagles minted by the U.S. government or U.S. Mint. And that's very common. It's a thing that they do to make sure that they have a presence in everything that's deemed as money. So I think that it'd be okay to hold because they never outlawed gold bullion and stuff like that, but it was just more so anything that was by the U.S. government was just the preferred method of trading, or it carried a premium compared to other assets and stuff like that. But at least as of right now, up until this date, they have been discouraged holding or making transactions and stuff like that in another alternative form. But it was just more so if you're going to conduct business with the government, or at least on an international level, the government would always say, okay, well, they have to take currency, but or at least something that it meant, and then it was just always more trusted compared to, I don't say third party, but I'll just say non-official currencies. So at least for right now, it appears that it'll be okay to hold during that time, but it really just depends on how we come out and make sure that they're not creating any BS laws to devalue everything else and just hold their own coins or cryptos above the rest. Crypto has a scarcity, a dollar doesn't. Yeah, dollar's unlimited, that's for sure. See, thoughts on breakage, users forgetting or losing access to coins over time, like not using all the minutes on a phone card back in the day. Yeah, no, it happens. It happens. I believe there's a lot less coins that are out there because a lot of times we see the actual circulating supply and stuff like that, but it's difficult to go through and track like the coins that are in the wallets that are lost, or people that pass away and stuff like that who don't have access to the coins anymore. It happens. So I do believe that all the numbers are actually lower than the ones that we're actually seeing, but that's just something we kind of have to take into effect. But I don't know if there's going to be a standard to say, oh well, if this wallet hasn't had activity in the last 2 years or something like that, do we assume that they're dead? Like it's just not the people, but the wallet. But that's something to think about. That's something to think about. But I know it's something that we'll probably have to deal with going forward to actually get like a closer idea to the actual circulating supply and stuff like that. But there's certainly something to think about. Thank you, David, for your thoughts. No problem. My pleasure. My pleasure. Is the DeFi wallet good for holding coins? I have to check it out. I have to check it out. I haven't looked. I did my top five. I made a video the other day and I went over my top five. So if you want to check that out, I have my top five recommendations on there, but I have to check that out. Robinhood says because I'm in New York, I can't move my Doge to a wallet. Why? Yeah, New York has some funny rules about wallets and cryptos and stuff like that. So it's very common that people in New York can't move their cryptos and stuff like that. So it's not unique. I don't know. I'm not sure of the exact law, but I know I've seen it a million times from like my subscribers stating that they're in New York and they're kind of stuck with, removing their cryptos and stuff like that. So it's not uncommon, but I know it's just usually because of some type of New York law and stuff like that regarding crypto. End of the year prediction for Doge. Don't know. I can't do it just yet. It's too soon. I got to see some consolidation of the macros. That's just me being completely honest here. I don't want to put out a random number. So I'm not sure just yet. Okay, so we've been on 40 minutes. I know I said 30. So appreciate you guys for tuning in with me. And if you guys want some free money, I have a deal going on with Moomoo. They're in my link in my description. You can get up to 10 free stocks just by opening it. You can get free stocks just by opening an account, and then you can put like $1 or whatever your preferred amount in there. And you'll get 10 stocks, and you'll be able to obviously trade them or use them for your benefit. So that's free money in the stock, in my description section. If you haven't yet liked the video, I don't know how many likes this video has, but like it, subscribe to the channel if you want to hear more from me. And I will see you guys tomorrow. All right. Have a good night.